The morning mist clung to the forest floor as 37-year-old construction foreman Jake Sullivan guided his 8-year-old daughter Emma through the familiar hiking trail behind their modest cabin. Saturday mornings had become their special time together since his wife's death 2 years earlier, and these walks through the Pennsylvania woods helped both of them find peace in the natural world that asked nothing of them except presence. "Daddy, what's that sound?" Emma asked, stopping suddenly near a cluster of old oak trees where the trail curved toward the creek. Jake paused, listening carefully. At first he heard only the typical forest sounds: birds calling, leaves rustling in the breeze, the distant trickle of running water. But then he caught it too, a faint tapping, rhythmic and deliberate, coming from somewhere near their feet. "Help," came a weak voice from underground, barely audible through what sounded like several feet of earth. "Please, someone help me." Jake felt his blood run cold as he realized someone was buried alive beneath them. His construction experience kicked in immediately as he assessed the situation. The ground here was soft from recent rains, and the tapping suggested someone was conscious and trying to signal for help. "Emma, I need you to run back to the cabin right now and call 911, Jake said urgently. "Tell them we have someone trapped underground on the Miller Creek Trail about a quarter mile from our driveway." "But Daddy..." "Go now, sweetheart. Run as fast as you can." As Emma disappeared down the trail, Jake dropped to his knees and began digging frantically with his hands, calling down to whoever was trapped below. "I'm here. I'm going to get you out. Keep making noise so I can find exactly where you are." The voice that responded was female, weak but determined. "Here. I'm right here. There's not much air left." Jake dug with the desperate strength that comes from knowing someone's life depends on your actions. His hands were soon bloody from scraping against roots and rocks, but he could hear the voice getting clearer as he removed layer after layer of earth. After what felt like hours but was probably only minutes, Jake's fingers found fabric, then a hand that gripped his with surprising strength. Working more carefully now, he cleared dirt away from a face, then shoulders, creating an air pocket that allowed the trapped person to breathe more freely. Looking up at him through dirt-caked features was a woman who appeared to be in her mid-30s, her blonde hair matted with soil and her business clothes torn and filthy. Despite her condition, Jake could see intelligence and determination in her eyes, and something else that looked like relief mixed with disbelief. "Thank you," she gasped, her voice hoarse from shouting for help. "I thought I was going to die down here." "What's your name?" Jake asked as he continued digging, working to free her legs and torso. "Victoria Sterling," she replied, then added with dark humor, "CEO of Sterling Enterprises, currently serving as temporary underground resident." Jake paused in his digging, recognizing the name. Sterling Enterprises was one of the largest companies in the state, and Victoria Sterling was known as one of the most successful businesswomen in Pennsylvania. But right now, corporate titles meant nothing compared to the basic human need to survive. "How did you end up buried out here?" Jake asked as he helped her work her way out of what appeared to be a deliberately constructed trap. "I was hiking alone, which I know was stupid," Victoria said, accepting Jake's help to pull herself free from the remaining dirt. "I stepped on what looked like solid ground, but it was actually a covered pit. Someone had camouflaged it with branches and leaves." Jake examined the hole more carefully and realized Victoria was right. This wasn't a natural sinkhole or accident. Someone had dug a deep pit and deliberately concealed it. The implications made his stomach turn. "Victoria, I think someone was trying to hurt you specifically." "This took planning and effort," Victoria nodded grimly. "I've been receiving threats related to a business decision that cost some people their jobs. I thought they were just angry letters, but apparently someone decided to take more direct action." The sound of sirens in the distance announced that Emma had successfully reached help. Within minutes, paramedics and police were on the scene, treating Victoria for dehydration and minor injuries while investigators examined the trap that had nearly claimed her life. "Mr. Sullivan," said Detective Maria Rodriguez as she interviewed Jake about the rescue, "you may have saved Ms. Sterling's life. She couldn't have survived much longer in that condition." But what surprised Jake most came as Victoria was being loaded into the ambulance for transport to the hospital. She grasped his hand and said something that would stay with him for years. "Jake, I need to tell you something that might sound strange after what just happened." "What's that?" "For the past 2 years I've been so focused on building my company that I forgot what it felt like to be genuinely cared for by another human being. When you dug me out of that hole, you didn't know who I was or what I could do for you. You just saw someone who needed help, and you risked your own safety to save a stranger." Jake was quiet, not sure how to respond to such raw honesty. "I want to do something for you and Emma," Victoria continued, "not as payment for saving my life, but because I want to be part of your lives going forward. You reminded me that the most important things in life aren't on any corporate balance sheet." 3 months later, Jake was surprised to receive a visit from Victoria at his small construction company. She looked nothing like the dirt-covered woman he had pulled from the ground. She was polished, confident, and clearly accustomed to getting things done efficiently. "Jake, I have a business proposition for you," she said, settling into the modest chair across from his desk. "I'm listening." "Sterling Enterprises is expanding into sustainable construction and green building technology. I want someone to head the division who understands both the technical aspects of construction and the human side of building communities. Someone who thinks about people first and profit second." Jake stared at her in amazement. "Victoria, I run a small construction crew. I don't have the background for corporate leadership." "You have something more valuable than corporate experience," Victoria replied. "You have the kind of character that makes you dig someone out of the ground with your bare hands because it's the right thing to do. That's the foundation I want for this new division." The job offer came with a salary that would transform Jake and Emma's financial situation, but more importantly, it represented the kind of meaningful work that aligned with Jake's values about building things that lasted and mattered. "There's one more thing," Victoria said as they discussed the details. "Emma would be welcome in our company childcare program, and there are excellent schools in the area where our headquarters is located. I want this opportunity to benefit your whole family." 6 months later, Jake stood in the conference room of Sterling Enterprises' new Sustainable Communities division, leading a presentation about building affordable housing that incorporated both environmental responsibility and community support systems. Victoria watched from the back of the room as Jake explained how construction projects could strengthen communities rather than just create buildings, and she marveled at how dramatically both their lives had changed since that morning in the woods. "You know what I learned from being buried alive?" Victoria said to Jake after his presentation as they walked through the company's new headquarters. "What's that?" "That success means nothing if you're isolated from real human connection. I spent so many years building a company that I forgot to build relationships with people who cared about me as a person, rather than as a business opportunity." Jake nodded, understanding that Victoria's near-death experience had taught her something about priorities that no business school could have provided. "And what I learned," Jake replied, "is that sometimes the most important rescue goes both ways. I thought I was just digging you out of the ground, but you ended up helping me dig out of a life that was just about getting by rather than building something meaningful." Emma, now 9 and thriving in her new school, ran up to join them as they toured the facility. "Daddy, Miss Victoria, are you going to build the playground we designed for the new housing project?" "We absolutely are," Victoria assured her. "Every community needs a place where families can play together." As they walked through the building where Victoria's company was developing new approaches to sustainable construction and community development, Jake reflected on how a morning hike had led to saving someone's life and discovering his own purpose in the process. Sometimes the most important rescues happen when we're not looking for them, and sometimes saving someone else's life helps us discover what we're meant to do with our own. If this story reminded you that the most meaningful work often comes from unexpected opportunities to help others, please give it a like and share it with someone who understands that success is measured by the positive impact we have on people's lives. Subscribe for more stories about finding purpose through service and how helping others can transform our own path. And let us know in the comments about a time when helping someone led to unexpected opportunities in your own life. Sometimes the most important business partnerships begin when someone needs help and another person chooses to provide it.